How's it going, Vikings fans and fans of the Purple Code? Welcome back to the Thursday show here on the Purple Code, and that is SKOL Spotlight, presented to you by GG Sports Podcast. So, Jamie, I'm ready to put the week of the Philadelphia Eagles behind us. Moving on, Detroit Lions coming into US Bank Stadium, a chance for the Vikings to get another divisional win, to bring some good positive vibes back into the building, and what better place to do it at home.
Yep.
In the friendly confines, Minnesota, the fans being loud, stadium rocking. Let's go win a football game. I'm ready. I'm ready to turn the page. Ready for Kevin O'Connell to prove himself again.
Bounce back game.
Prove that offense and defense we saw on Monday night was not the team that we're gonna see the rest of the season. Get another divisional win. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you what, when thinking about this game and thinking about the Detroit Lions against the Minnesota Vikings, there's a player in mind for this Vikings team that I think he's going to have to step up big time. We saw him step up a little bit in the last game, but the Lions, offensively, the Lions are actually looking pretty explosive, putting up a ton of points in the first 2 weeks of the season. They got a lot of weapons on that offense, but one of the guys on that offense is making Jared Goff look like a superstar, right? Jared Goff he's thrown 6 touchdowns to 1 interception. This guy caught, what did Amon St. Brown, what did he catch? 2 touchdowns last week?
Yeah, I think 2 touchdowns, had like 9 receptions, something like that.
Crazy, over 100 yards.
Yeah.
So this player we have here is going to be one of the top guys that we're going to need to really step up his game for this. What do you have to say about this player, Jamie?
Yeah, this is a player that I've always really liked, especially going into the season. And it's actually a guy that both me and Rap also really like from the Purple Podcast, obviously on TPC as well. So the big question mark about this guy is, and the player that you were talking about was St. Brown, so the wide receiver for the Lions. And there's 2 guys that were wondering who's going to cover him. Someone's got to cover him. Who's going to cover him the most? And generally, I think it would be Patrick Peterson. But so far, he has not looked that great. And like you said, the player that we're talking about, actually for a defense that played very poorly, especially against the pass early on, he was the one kind of bright spot, I thought. And I think he is going to, and I said this before coming into the season, this is a guy I thought was going to, we have a new rookie coming in at the cornerback position. It's obviously corner. I'm sure everyone knows who it is, but at a corner position that was gaining a lot of hype and everybody thought he was about to take this guy over. But I said that I think this player was going to actually leapfrog Patrick Peterson. And who's this player, Casey?
It is Cameron.
It's
Dantzler.
Cameron Bynum, or Cameron Bynum, Cameron Dantzler.
Yeah. So Cam Dantzler, obviously, he had the one. I've already repressed the memory of that football game. What did he did something early on that wasn't? Was there a penalty or did he?
That wasn't good.
Yeah, he did something early on that I remember thinking like, "Come on, Cam, that was on you. What are you doing?" I can't remember what it was exactly, but there was something where I'm just like, "Oh, here we go. This entire defense is going to play like shit." But the next thing you know, Cam Dantzler turns it around. He had a couple nice PBUs, couple nice tackles. Came up and stopped a Miles Sanders, or did he stop Jalen Hurts' run? I think he had a nice stick in the run game as well.
Yeah, he did. There was that one drive where I think he had 2 tackles back to back. That was huge tackles, and then the next play he had a pass interference or something like that, or defensive holding.
Yeah,
and then it was like, oh, what that Cam? And then the next
kind of a
play,
BS call. It was a BS call.
Yeah, it was kind of a BS call. And then the next play, he shadowed AJ Brown on the sidelines and covered him super well on that play. So that was like probably his best stretch of the game. But yeah, I mean, I do think he was, the one bright spot kind of.
And then of course at the end of the game, they pull him, they put in a Caleb Evans, and Kevin O'Connell says, "We want to get a Caleb Evans some run."
Yeah.
Like, I get it, but pull Patrick Peterson. I know he's the vet, but I don't know. Cam Dantzler's played much better than Patrick Peterson. I love Patrick Peterson. I respect Patrick Peterson. The guy's still a good football player, a good mentor, good leader on the team, but he's not Pat Pete. He's not Patrick Peterson anymore. He's an aging corner who has, obviously he still has some stuff to give, but he's been burnt a couple times this year up to this point. Should have been burnt against Christian Watson. Had a couple of times in this last game where he got burnt a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
just, I don't know, man. I think if you want to start mixing in some other corners, I think you got to mix it up a little bit and pull him out, pull Patrick Peterson out, put a Caleb Evans in, Andrew Booth when he finally gets there. But Cam Dantzler,
Right.
you got, I mean, first off, I mean, or, really Cam Dantzler, yeah, if you're going to have to decide if you want to pay him soon. So you got to,
Yes.
you want to get as much action for him as possible and see what you have, right?
Definitely.
And everybody always felt like maybe Zimmer had him in the doghouse for whatever reason, so he didn't get a chance. Because when he played last year, he had some ups and downs, but he didn't get to see the field a lot. This year, so far he's looked solid. So
yeah,
you got to let him see the field. You got to give him a chance to show what he can do. Don't pull him out of the game, especially when, I guess near the end when they thought maybe they were out of it, they started changing some things up. But I don't know, man. Cam Dantzler, he's shown me a lot this year. I'm really I mean, I liked him all the way through. When he didn't play, of course, he's like, oh, he's probably not that good. And then when you think about Zimmer, you get like, oh, never mind. He just didn't want to play him. But yeah, Cam Dantzler needs to be on the field all the time.
Yeah. And now so since we're on the secondary, I was just looking at some on Twitter. Another guy that I think could also, maybe not quite Cam Dantzler level, but another guy that I guess we are excited to see, and we might see a lot more of this week. That also will be really important from stopping the wide receivers for the Lions. I think we got news today. I'm trying to make sure I got this right. I swore I saw that Harrison Smith is going to be out. I know he hasn't practiced yet for sure, but I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be out. And if that's the case, obviously we have Lewisine, who only played one snap on defense last week, and he's a player that obviously we want to see him out there, and he doesn't know. I think he's the one that said he doesn't know who would start between him or Metellus. And I'm hoping it's him. He's the rookie. We want to see what we have in him. It'll be exciting to see him. But obviously, Harrison Smith has huge shoes to fill. And it will be extremely important for him to come in and step up too if we want to stop St. Brown.
Yep. And what makes it easier on the secondary is some pass rush. We did not get any pass rush on Jalen Hurts, mainly because we were too worried about him beating us with his legs, which he did anyway. Beat us with his arm with all of his dump off throws underneath because we were giving him that, beat us deep. So the pass rush is going to have to get home too against Jared Goff. Jared Goff, I think, Jamie, you're going to say this on our episode of GG Sports Podcast. It's going to air tomorrow on YouTube here. Is that Jared Goff is no Jalen Hurts, obviously. So you're not going to need to worry about that element of the game. But with all the weapons on that offense, a solid offensive line, some good receivers, that pass rush is going to need to get home to help out Cameron Dantzler, to help Patrick Peterson and Caleb Evans, Lewisine, Cam Bynum. You got to help all those guys out, and pass rush is the best way to do that. Like I said, against a very, very good Detroit offensive line. So
yeah, I think we were kind of psyched out a little bit going into that last game.
Yeah.
For Jalen Hurts' legs, which makes sense. I mean, he is really good. And
dynamic.
I didn't even know he squats 600 pounds. So that was crazy. Your quarterback squats 600 pounds. So yeah, he's strong, fast, everything. Yeah. This game, you do not have to worry about that, like you said. And I don't think you have to worry about like any specific schemes. You go in there and you attack them probably pretty much similar to the way you did against the Packers. And hopefully we can go in there and do that a little bit better. But yeah, man, plus it's not a prime time game. So I think we should see a little bump from Kirk Cousins, and I could see a bounce back week out of him as well as Justin Jefferson. I think Justin Jefferson is going to be kind of upset with his production last week, especially when he's trying to break 2,000 yards. But yeah, man, what do you think about those? What do you think about Kirk Cousins and JJ this week?
Yeah, so hopefully the defense can do its job there, and that's going to be a huge part of this game. But yeah, when it comes down to it, that offense needs to play better. I thought, when you really watch the game, and from what I saw, and I haven't gone back and rewatched it. I don't want to. I just watched the one time. It really looked, and I get it. Everyone always said Justin Jefferson will be the Cooper Kupp of this offense. But I think, and I don't know if it was game plan wise with Kevin O'Connell that he wanted Kirk to really look Justin Jefferson's way every time. I get why you would. But it almost felt like Kirk was staring JJ down on every play. Like you knew that's where he's going to go. And I think that's why some of the other offensive pieces didn't really get involved much till the end. But you got to start spreading that ball around. I mean, I get Justin Jefferson needs to kind of be your decoy when he moves. The one thing when he moves around, put him in the backfield, put him around, put him in motion. It's going to move things around on that defense, and it'll help him get open, A, but also B, move their defense around. You can surprise them, sneak Adam Thielen underneath, sneak KJ somewhere, but you can do so much with Justin Jefferson that doesn't include him getting the football. And you're seeing with Cooper Kupp right now. Cooper Kupp, I mean, he's still doing Cooper Kupp things, but like against the Bills, that offense wasn't the Rams we knew without a good second receiver.
Right.
They put up a lot of points this last week, but it's not sustainable with one guy, So someone else is going to have to step up on this team.
Yeah,
and
now that
that play calling, just the play calling needs to be better on the offense. What I'm trying to say here. And
I just want to say that was a really
be better as well.
Sorry. I was just gonna. I'm sorry I cut you off there, but it was a really good example that you put up about Cooper Kupp and the Rams, because last week, they are the team that goes to Cooper Kupp every play. Stafford's always looking at him. Well, last week on the first drive, I think it was the very first drive, Stafford was looking different ways, and specifically Allen Robinson seen some targets and ended up with a touchdown. And I don't think Cooper Kupp saw a catch, I don't believe, for like the first quarter or something. And then later on, they started attacking them. And then I think Cooper Kupp still ended up with his 100-something yards, 8 catches or whatever. But that's like a great idea for the Vikings to come into this game. And this is what I wanted them to do last game as well. And I think they should do it this game. It is spread the ball early, especially if a team's not expecting it. If they're coming in and their game plan, just like our game plan was to stop the run last week, and the Eagles' game plan was stop Justin Jefferson last week. Well, they did that. They followed their game plan and it worked for them. Obviously, it didn't work for us. If we would have came out and we would have just thrown it to Adam Thielen and KJ Osborne and those guys early, I think it could have set up Justin Jefferson later. And I think we kind of go into this game and do something similar to that, where we spread the ball around early, just like the Rams kind of did last week with Allen Robinson. And then hopefully, it will back players off of Justin Jefferson even a little bit, because that's the thing with Justin Jefferson. He's so talented. All you have to do is take a little bit of eyesight off of him, and he can do what he does. It is a lot more difficult when you probably have 3 players just spying him the entire game.
Yeah, for sure. And again, I think the big thing with this game is, like I said in our review video of the Eagles game, it's a top-down thing. Kevin O'Connell needs to be better this game, needs to come into it with a better offensive and defensive game plan for sure. That's number one. Talking about our corners, you got to watch out for DeAndre Swift, and you got to watch out for Amon-Ra St. Brown in that offense. Those 2 guys are what makes that Detroit Lions offense run. That's what we want. That is what the Vikings want on offense. A good running game that leads to a good passing game, and then you're unpredictable. Speaking of the running game, let's talk about that for a bit here. Delvin Cook, he said he wanted to be a different Delvin Cook wearing number 4. He is a different Delvin Cook, that's for sure. It's a bad Delvin Cook. I hate to say bad. It might be play calling, it might be offensive line, but I haven't seen that same explosiveness from Delvin Cook, unfortunately. And look, again, I like Delvin Cook. I think he's a good leader on the team. I think he's a very talented running back. The thing that bothers me is the injuries, which we haven't seen yet, luckily, and the money. And it's just, those are the things I'm just like, then you see a game like that and you're like, come on, we're paying you to be that guy, And of course, with him, he caught that screen pass, or a couple screen passes. Like, what else are you going to do if that's the play call and it just doesn't work? It's not your fault. So, I mean, I think it is a good mix of play calling, offensive line play, as well as just maybe he's lost a step with the injuries and he's getting a little older now. Who knows? But I want to see more out of that running game for sure. I know Kevin O'Connell said in his press conference on Wednesday that, I probably should have ran the ball more early, which is, true. Everybody wants to see the big explosive plays of Justin Jefferson, but you got to set that up somehow. And the Eagles went into that game thinking we got to stop Justin Jefferson. And we're going to do it. The Vikings went into that game thinking, well, we got to try to stop Jalen Hurts. So let's just let him take things in the middle of the field, and eventually we'll figure it out. It didn't work out. So you got to come into this Detroit game with a better game plan than that with their offense. Defense, they have some pieces you got to watch out for. And we want to make sure Kirk doesn't get pressure on him. And the Lions have Aiden Hutchinson on that defensive line, who had 3 sacks last week. Really showed out. He did it off right tackle, off left tackle, or right end, left end, as well as in the middle. So they're going to test all parts of our line with some of those defensive players. So there's a lot. We got to watch out. This is a big game for the Vikings. You don't want to drop this one. You got to find a way to win it. I hate to use must win in week 3, but this might be a must win game just for the psyche of the team. But Kevin O'Connell gets a good chance, like I said, to come back after getting punched in the mouth. How will you respond? We know how Mike Zimmer teams of the past responded. You laid down and died. The players didn't believe in it. Now it's time. Like, what is a young head coach going to do? Adam Thielen said it, I believe, in a press conference on Wednesday as well. He said, you saw it. Nobody was mad. No coaches were yelling. We all just knew we got to get better. And that's great. As long as it works. As long as it works and this team gets better and starts winning football games, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Time will tell if that's going to be the case, but we'll see.
Yeah. And I know the Lions are a more talented team than they have been in years past, especially from a playmakers with St. Brown and Swift. And yeah, Swift, we definitely have to worry about too. He's another type of player that we've always struggled as a Vikings team, is those pass catching screen type running backs. So we have to figure that out as well. But yeah, I don't know, man. I think we just have to go in there and rush Goff on defense. And, you know, at the end of the day, even though they have more talent, they are still the Lions, and I will not lose the Lions, at least, especially twice a year. Last year we did lose one that we shouldn't have lost. We lost one last year, right? Just one of them.
We lost one that we shouldn't have lost, and we won one that we shouldn't have won.
Yeah. Either way, this year we should win both these games against them. I think even though they have talent on their team, their team is not nearly as talented as ours. And like you said, this is kind of for the psyche reasons. This is kind of a must win for us, because if we lose this, especially to the Lions, even the fans, everything will be kind of crushed a little bit more. But even the players, I mean, you got to believe that you're that good team. We do not want to come in, have the rest of the season with that mindset of like, we're not quite that team. Like going into the season, man, there's just so much hype. I don't know. We just got to beat the Lions. That's right.
It's going to be big. It's going to be big. And on defense, stop the run. Don't get that Swift kick to the nuts. If you see what I did there, stop Cam Dantzler, Patrick Peterson, stop Amon St. Brown, get some pressure on Jared Goff. Offense, be better, and come away with the win. What do you think in score wise? Let's get those out of the way quick.
So score, I'm gonna go with 28-17 us. I do think, man, they do have some pieces over there. I think our defensive style is going to work a lot better against them. We only held the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to 7 the week 1. I think I could see something actually similar to that. But I'm going to say 17-28. I think our offense, and I think Kirk Cousins is going to bounce back, even though his games that he has that are bad are concerning, because they do happen too often. And I don't see how you plan on winning a Super Bowl when you have these really bad games here and there, since you have to win at least 4 games in a row to win a Super Bowl,
especially when they're when they're all prime time.
When they're all prime time, honestly, on top of that. So that's worrisome. But the reality is Kirk Cousins also has his great games. And I think this is going to be one of them. I think he's going to bounce back this week. We've seen it before, bad game and then a good game and then sometimes a bad game. Hopefully that doesn't happen this time. But I think he's going to come in and throw at least, I think he's going to get 3 touchdowns. And I think Justin Jefferson is going to bounce back as well with over 150 yards and 2 touchdowns, similar to week 1. How about you? What's your thing?
I'm going 28-24 Vikes. Bounce back in this game, like you said. I already laid out the challenge. Delvin Cook's going to be good in this game. I think Delvin Cook's going to come through. I think he's going to have over 100 rushing yards. I think he's going to get that touchdown. And I think we're finally going to see that Delvin Cook. I hope. The challenge is out there, buddy. I just dissed you a little bit ago. Now I'm on your back. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
So
easy.
Speaking of scores, let's do another fantasy line. Let's do another DraftKings lineup, huh?
All right, here it is. A game against Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. What did you have to say about them, Casey, about last week?
This is a really intriguing game because it's 2 teams that obviously the Steelers haven't been great so far this year. They've been in both games. Obviously, they should have lost to the Bengals, but they won that game. They look pretty bad against Pittsburgh. Pretty bad against New England. Sorry. And then you got the Browns, who just got their souls crushed by the New York Jets. So I don't know. But if there's one player I want, I'm not taking him in the captain spot in this, but we got to find a way to put the best player on both teams on the field, and that is running back Nick Chubb. He's got to go in this line.
That's going to be hard. He is expensive.
Yeah, but if he's not your captain, I'm willing to make that bet because I think you can find players elsewhere. Nick Chubb is the one guy I want in this lineup. Mainly because I made the mistake of not playing him in my actual fantasy league last year. It wouldn't matter because I only scored 66 points, but
Sounds good. We'll try to put him in there, see if we can do that. You are right. He's by far the best player. The only thing that does stink with him is Hunt will just get like 3 touchdowns one week on like 5 touches or something like that, and then Chubb will get all the other touches, but with like 0 touchdowns.
Hey, let's get Deshaun Watson. He's still on there.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson.
How is he still cost 9,000? What the?
Yeah, they're just he's overhyped. He's overhyped. But going into this game again, like we kind of talked last week, it's always good to talk about who we think might be some sleepers on this list, which honestly, I've kind of already looked over some of these players and nobody really stands out as a potential sleeper or even cheap guys. It's kind of a weird lineup where I feel like a lot of people are a little too expensive for what they should be. I don't really understand why, especially since both these teams kind of have not been that impressive on offense yet. That being said, I think the only guy I kind of see that maybe has potential is David Bell what would he be at a flex spot? David Bell at 1,400, but the only reason why is I think he's had a catch last game, so he potentially could get you 1 point, which could be a difference maker from the winning team to the losing team. But anyways, I think at the end of the day, this is going to be somewhat of a low scoring game. It's a divisional game. None of these offenses have been doing anything too crazy, so I think we have to approach this lineup in a way that we're expecting the score to be kind of lower and maybe not a ton of touchdowns.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It'll be interesting to see what this game ends up looking like. I wonder if we'll see Kenny Pickett anytime soon on that team.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. We could
be really bold and put Kenny Pickett in our captain spot.
Ooh. I mean, there's a chance like that could be the winning play. What if you put him in your captain spot? Trubisky throws an interception on the first drive. They say, fuck it, put Pickett in, and the rest is history. And we win however much money you win on this one. I think this is a $3. Well, I don't know. It's the big one. It'd be like $100,000 or something, which I'd be cool with. I'd be cool with the extra $100,000 or any $100,000. Let's be honest.
Right. Exactly.
Anyways. So you want Chubb. Let's put Chubb in here right off the bat. Another guy that I really, really like right off the bat. He's a legend in my eyes and might be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and that's Kellen Mond. So let's put him in there right away.
How does he cost 6,000?
6,000 still.
Whoa! Are they thinking he might play? Who knows? I mean, one snap away, probably. Or no, he's probably not their backup. I wouldn't think.
Brissett's. Who is their backup? Dobbs.
Right.
And Rosen. So he's like the fourth guy. I don't know, man. I mean, he's kind of stud. But anyways, so we were talking about if we put Chubb on our team at all, we probably have to go a little bit cheaper from the captain spot area. Yeah. So I think if we do that, if it's going to be a short game, you could go defenses, but honestly, I'm not confident on which defenses to pick. It could be a big defensive game, honestly. I mean, that could be the good choice there, but I think it's going to be like a game where I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think it's going to be a kicking game. So I think if we're going to do one, I wouldn't mind putting in a kicker in maybe even our captain spot here. Now it's just which kicker.
Let's get wild, huh? I think the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is the offense that is more likely to stall when they get down into field goal range. I think with the running backs on that Cleveland team, plus a couple really talented receivers, and Brissett, who has played football. I mean,
a little bit better than Mitchell Trubisky.
But yeah, I think I like Brissett more than Trubisky. So if I'm going kickers, I'm taking Pittsburgh. I'm taking Pittsburgh's kicker because I think their offense is a little more. And Najee Harris, who knows if his foot's 100%? I know he played last week, but I don't think he's 100% even close right now with that foot injury. So.
Yeah. And then Noah, I say, I think it's going to be a kicking shootout at the end of the day because Pittsburgh still has some studs. They don't have TJ Watt, which is a big deal, but they still have a lot of studs on that defense. like Minka, Fitzpatrick, all those guys. So I think it's gonna be a shootout. Let's just do that. We get 2 cheap players out of the way. We spent 12,000 on Nick Chubb, which is pretty insane, honestly. And it is probably a little bit expensive. So we'll just see if we can. I know this is your guy, Nick Chubb, in this lineup. We'll see if we can actually pull off a lineup that can afford him. I mean, now we have over 9,000 to spend on the rest of these players here. So I mean, let's go to the quarterbacks. Trubisky, honestly, I'm not convinced he finishes this game. I have a feeling Pickett's riding his ass for sure. And I would not be surprised, even in this game, if Pickett was to come in, if Trubisky really played bad. What do you think on that? Because comparing to like Trubisky and Brissett, like, would you put any of those quarterbacks in your lineup?
Again, I would be more likely to put, if we're going to go quarterback, which you probably should at least one, I would be more likely to go Brissett over Trubisky, honestly. And it would be a bold move if you had some insider information. It'd be a bold move to toss Pickett in there. It'd be fun.
It would be. I want to do it, but maybe I'll make another lineup where I just put him as my captain.
Let's do it
every single week. I'll just do that every single week until it happens.
But let's talk. If we're gonna take a quarterback, let's go Brissett.
I mean, speaking of less than 9,000 for a quarterback, you never know.
I'm going to jump to the other side, talk about cornerback quick. Joe Hayden this morning announced his retirement. He's going to retire as a member of the Cleveland Browns. So that's a little tidbit about this game as well. Played for both of these teams.
And he was a stud in his
He was a stud. Him and I feel so bad for him and Joe Thomas having to play on the bad Brown, even though the Browns are great right now, but having to play on the hopeless Browns.
The Browns.
Winless Browns.
Their jerseys getting
they've seen
their jersey with all the last names are getting longer and longer.
Yeah. They've seen 0-16, or those guys have seen 0-16.
And Joe Thomas is Joe Thomas,
yep.
Right? Yeah, he's like probably the best offensive lineman that we've seen.
Yeah, very
good. in our life or in the last 10 years, whatever. Anyways, back to this. So we have 9,500. So we actually have a decent amount of money to get. Some of these top guys here. Yeah. We can't. We could actually maybe get Najee. Let's put Najee in there.
Yeah, but I mean,
I do see a lot of
the foot, but maybe that's going to steer a lot of people away from taking Najee Harris this week. True. And if he comes back and he is Najee Harris and they involve him in the offense, could be a pick that nobody else goes with. Who knows? I mean, I think people will, but
right. And if it stays a low scoring game, you kind of see a little bit more running backs. I think as long as like one team's not getting blown out, and these are both teams that I think rely or should. Well, the Browns definitely rely on their running backs. The Steelers probably should a little bit more this year.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's put them in, which gives us 9,200, which takes us out of Cooper Kupp. But we have Deontay Johnson here, which people were worried about. He was actually a sleeper in fantasy this year because people were worried about how his production would be without Big Ben. And he hasn't scored a ton of yards or touchdowns, but he has, 6 receptions in 2 games. In both games, he's had 6 receptions for at least targets. 10. Yeah, double-digit target, 10 targets. Man, you got to love volume from any player. And even like compared to Amari Cooper went off last week with 9 receptions, 10 yards, and 101 touchdowns, or 101 yards and a touchdown. But the week before, he had 3 receptions for 6 targets and 17 yards. So I think with Deontay Johnson, you get a guy that you know is going to get some sort of volume. And I think we plug him in there. I mean, that kind of fits out pretty well.
Yeah, and we can fit him in with that lineup, and I really like that lineup. So
yeah,
I say lock that one in.
Let's do it.
That's solid. So yeah. Again, not sure how exciting this game is going to be tonight, but at the end of the day, it's football, right? Divisional game. But speaking of divisional games, let's close this off talking about the Vikings. We've been going for we're getting close to a half hour here. So this again, big game, must-win game. I just want to see us come out and just from start to finish, at least, if we keep it, if the Lions keep it close, that's fine. But I don't want to see anything in this. Like, I was talking so much shit about the Bears on Sunday night, saying this is the old. My friend texted me, and I agree with him. This is the Vikings offense of old, or the Vikings team of old. The offense can't get anything going. Their defense looks like shit. And then we come up Monday night, we look like the Bears. So I don't want to see any of that. I want to see explosive. I want to see the Packer. I want to see closer to that Packer game. I still don't think that Packer game was the full potential of what this team could be. It was all JJ. And that was it. I think it can be a more complete offense. You have so many pieces. So I think there's a ton to like here. And I think this game, needs to be that game where you come out and, you know, you had your first game where everything went well for you and you still didn't do everything I don't think they wanted to.
Yeah.
You had your second game where you look like absolute dog water. Now you got to have that middling game, the game where everything comes together. Kevin O'Connell has 2 games under his belt. He has a great win that everybody's lauding him for and a humiliating kick in the nuts defeat. So this game needs to be that between point where you find everything you want to do. Obviously, it's never going to be perfect, but you're able to run your offense. Your defense plays well because you have too many talented players on that defense and it looks so goddamn bad. You turn it around, you win this football game, you get back on the right track, you go to London, you beat the Saints, you play the Bears, and then you have a tough game against Miami before the bye. So win those games, lose one more, whatever. Go into the bye at 6-2.
This one we want to win.
Yeah,
this one we just want that bounce back. KOC gets his bounce back victory. These are the kind of games that create almost a lot of momentum potentially for the rest of the season. Exactly why you said that this is kind of feels like it could be somewhat of a must-win game because it's the Lions.
Yep.
After a bad week last week with all this hype that we've all felt as a fan base going into this season. So I think we're going to come in. I think we're going to whoop the Lions' ass just like we would do generally would do. And I think we smoke them, honestly. I think we come out and destroy them.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so. Before we sign off here, I forgot to do this at the beginning, so I'll do it now. Thank our sponsors, Rinaldi's Pizza, as well as Nautical Bowls. Both of these places in my backyard here in Woodbury, Minnesota. Make sure to go check both of those out. Thank you guys for joining us here today. We'll see you guys next week on SKOL